What is going on, everybody? Bobby Fye, Eric Sheetshaber, and Kenny Hyder. We are going to be talking through the Masters, and from a DFS perspective, we'll probably throw out some other ideas and some general bets. We know Sheets has already got one that he's gonna share with us, although he might be a little bit I don't know. He doesn't get embarrassed very often, but maybe he will be to share this one. But Masters Week, that means it's 33% off at TrueDFS for the first month. So come join us. We have some awesome packages, guys. I wanted to remind everybody about the Pay Dirt partnership and the partnership with SaberSim. I really think you'll get a lot out of the tools. Also, we've got Stukas doing tools for NASCAR, which is going to be doing more. We're continually improving the site. Everything, the tools and everything are up there, but we're currently revamping the site. So it might be a little bit harder to find everything, but once you know what to do, feel free to reach out to me or Goldie or anybody, and we'll sort you out. But more importantly, let's get into the Masters. I'm pumped up about this week. I'll start off by welcoming in Kenny and saying if you have any overall thoughts, then we'll go over to Sheets, who I think is going to have some hot takes. But Kenny, start us off here.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, always exciting week. I think it's an interesting week finally getting back to some of the live players who most of I like. So be kind of interesting to see how things shake out with ownership and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. I think I have an idea of what I'm going to do anyway.
Nice. And before we get it, so do you think that though this I don't want to say a mistake people make, but it's certainly something people do, and we know we'll have a one and done conversation when this is over. But it feels like we don't get a chance to play the live guys. Is it a chance that like we've seen in the past that they end up being a little bit, I don't want to say over-owned, but more owned than they would be? Is Kenny, what are your thoughts on that? Just because people don't get a chance to play them, so they see them coming back, and then it's immediately like, okay, we're going to play the live guys. I always worry about that kind of thing for the majors. What do you think?
Yeah, I think definitely that'll happen. I think ownership will be probably a little bit higher, but I also think that people are really stoked on Rory this week. So I expect a lot of ownership to go there, and I also expect a pretty heavy amount of ownership to go to Scotty as well. So for me, I think the stance is okay. We'll just pivot off of those two guys and then just go heavier than you think on the live guys, because I do think the live guys have we've got a bunch of winners in the live group, and we've got Bryson, and we've got a bunch of guys who have top five and stuff like that. So I don't think it's wrong to be over the weight on them, and I think it's correct to want to play them because they're kind of the X factor in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, I just feel like that the ownership is going to reflect it. That's all I'm saying, is that you have a bunch of guys who have been playing a different form of everything, and I just wanted to throw it out there. Sheets, all right. First thoughts before we get into what we're going to do here to each tier.
Yeah, my overall thoughts is really what my hot take is. Okay, so everybody's just got to freaking chill. Okay, it's just a freaking another tournament. Okay, I don't want to hear it. That this is the tradition unlike any other. This is what everybody's waiting for the whole year. No, the tournament matters. This is the one tournament where it's 100% like course fit. Like if you don't play well on this course, you're not ever doing it. You have like a tiny little sample sizes for all of these golfers, and even the guys that have played like 15 years. Well, I don't care what they did 15 years ago anyway. You know what I mean? So I'm hearing all freaking week long about throw everything else out the window. You got to be able to play this course. This is the perfect course fit type thing. If you don't play well in this course, you have no chance. I think it's a lot of crap. Okay. And when I say a lot of crap, okay, if you do the numbers and you run the math, okay, fine. You might find a better correlation of course fit here than maybe other courses, but you were still talking about extraordinarily tiny samples. So I'm really not particularly interested in overweighting guys because of their success at this course, for example. Right. Okay. The other thing I would say is that we have to talk about this. The all these tournaments that DraftKings running. Okay, so there's like 75 different ways to win $1 million this week apparently, and in addition to that, they have this promotion going where they're offering a free $10 entry for people who are depositing money. So you're going to get, in my opinion, a real heavy duty dose of casuals, especially in that $10 tournament. Okay. Unless but this would be a terrible thing if this happened to DraftKings, if all the experts just maxed and closed out that tournament before the new depositors can get the $10 in, that would be a terrible result for DraftKings. But I don't think that's. I think that they're smart, and I think they've figured that out already. So what I feel is that
That's still only like a third full. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I feel as though is the combination of the two things that I just said, like the complete like just mega hype of this tournament, plus the advent of casuals, whatever. I think that there are several guys in the tournament that are going to be just overowned and overowned. I'm not saying that they can't win. I'm not saying they're good DFS plays, whatever. But there are guys that people are just going to play. Okay. And for example, and you touched on two of them, right? Who's gonna get in this tournament and not play either Scotty or Rory? Okay, like so people are. It's either going to be Scotty or Rory. That's what all the TV is talking about. Whatever it is. So both of those guys are going to get jammed. Okay,
Yep.
As much as they can be, relative to salaries and whatever it is. People are going to want to play those guys. Another guy people are going to want to play is DeChambeau because everybody loves him now. He's like all over social media. He went from villain to hero, within like a couple of years. And plus what Bobby said about like the kind of the newness of these live guys. Oh my God, I get to play DeChambeau again, So I think he's going to be owned. And the other guy is probably Phil Mickelson. I think he's going to be overowned relative to his chances of winning. And then the other guy, I'll just get right into it. That is, well, we'll talk about this later. Like Sergio Garcia is getting like all this like new love, and Sepp Straka is all of a sudden the greatest player of all time. So there are guys that are just going to get owned here, and I'm not saying that means you X out Scotty, Rory, and the guys I mentioned, but it is just
done it before.
But it is just a tournament. It's just another day. It's just like an LOL slate. It really is. Okay. And I'm just not interested in making more of this than it is, except for the fact that pools are bigger, and so you win more when you're right. Okay, so I really want to stick to the fundamentals of this, even like one of the top sites. Okay, I want to see who they are. I mean, they were saying, well, we're gonna our projection is gonna be a little bit different for this tournament because of this. All right, just relax. Okay, so that's my overall look of this tournament.
Yeah. And just I think it's really interesting. And right away, Deep Hope is saying something that I was thinking a lot too. Like when all the trends in golf go one way, I find it very easy to just go the other direction, which would be guys like Hovland, Hideki, and Oberg. You know what I mean? Where no one's talking about those guys, for example. But we'll get into each tier and everything like that. I think it's really, really foolish to base anything either too much on recency trends or on historical data for the Masters to a certain extent. It is also weird that we've had Phil, and I know he's playing better on the Live Tour this week, but like Phil has been like every year, even in the Masters. I mean, we've been seeing him when he won the was it the U.S. Open? What was the last one he won, Kenny? PGA. When he won that, he was like what 1% owned, 0.5% owned, and he was like 6,500. So it's just really strange that all of a sudden everybody's going these same directions. Anyway, we'll get into the tiers. We'll start off with Kenny, and then we'll go to Sheets, and then I'll finish it up for the 10K range. Kenny, who's your highest level of interest up here? I'm sure you'll have exposure to everybody, but I'm curious who you're playing the most. Actually, I don't know if you have that exposure to everybody.
Yeah, I don't know that I'll have exposure to everyone either. I think for me this week, and it's going to be the first week in a long time, it's a pretty easy fade for me on Scheffler. Wow. Just with the price and just everyone that's in this field is here because they're either playing great or because they've won it before. And both of those things are things to consider. But, all of the ranges are pretty deep. So, and also I think Rory is just going to be overly owned because there's this huge narrative that he's supposed to win this week, right? So for me, in the 10K range, I'm going to be heaviest on Rahm, which feels good to say again because he's been my favorite player since he was turned pro, and I'm going to be looking forward to watching him.
Yeah. Wait. So you're saying that Rahm? Okay.
Rahm. Rahm's my favorite in the range. Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually was surprised when I looked at the ownership being as high as it was on him, but I like what you're saying because we're on a similar page here. Sheets, who do you like in the 10K plus range?
Another guy that you can again another angle, whatever, is this idea. See, it's so funny. I was wondering how the Rory thing was going to go. I thought that people were going to get on the Rory choke train and just say that he can never win, and not play him. It turns out, I guess they're going the other way. They're just playing.
Even when they say that, they still always play him.
They still always play him, exactly. But I'll tell you, the guy who's like all of a sudden like Mr. Hate, like all of a sudden the whole universe is hating Colin Morikawa for some reason.
Yeah, just because of these interviews, and it's really weird, right?
Yeah, it's very strange. Now typically, I mean, and this is all, a lot of what I'm saying is baked into the projections, obviously, but he typically doesn't have the length to deal to be, as good of a contender on this course as others. But that would definitely be a nice FU if he won and then didn't show up for the freaking press conference. That'd be amazing. I think that it and this is not particularly hot take. I think it's time for Aberg to win this. He's been doing great for since he's made his debut. And I think that again of those top 5 guys, except for people that have been really following PGA, you know what I mean? Like over the last year or two, I think Aberg's the one that the casuals are really going to say, yeah, I've heard of him, but he's not really beating these guys. I mean, honestly, seriously. I mean, yeah, it's all nice, this Aberg guy, but he's not really beating John Rahm in a tournament, for real, right? He's not really beating Rory and Scotty Scheffler. And the fact is that he's awesome. And what's also good about Aberg is he's kind of like me with respect to his view of this tournament. He doesn't give an F. I mean, he's going to be out there, and Augusta versus who the hell cares,
Yep.
So and you can say that could end up costing him, if he doesn't respect the course as much as maybe some people might. He might end up with some big numbers from time to time. But I happen to like him as my favorite of the 10Ks.
I love that call. He's the one I'm the most overweight the field on. Now he's going to be the lowest owned. So again, it doesn't mean he's the one I'll have the most exposure to, but he's going to be right up there for me. I like the Oberg Rom. I am not going to do anything. I actually personally do think Rory is playing great and will be fine here. I'm not, again, to win it. Look, it's a lot of good players. But I don't really have a hot take as far as Scotty and Rory go. I think both are totally reasonable. And if you're playing cash game lineups, you should have one of those guys. I do hear what Cheats is saying, and I think that we have some great options just beneath them. So I'm leaning the ones I'll be most overweight the field will be Oberg and Rahm. And actually, it may even be Morikawa, because I now that I look at it, I may end up a slightly under on Rory and Scotty, and just go overweight the other 3 in this range. But I also like some guys down in the 9K range who we're not used to seeing down here. So I'm curious to see where their ownership ends up. And I'll start it off with you, Sheets, this time in the 9K range. Then we'll go to Kenny, and then we'll go back to me. What do you like down here, and what are you getting?
I like all these guys. Now we'll start with the guys that we always like to play, and that's Tommy Fleetwood. Okay, so he has been playing great since we basically started playing DFS, right? He always plays great. He always, and unfortunately, all the time, someone plays better, when he's out there. And here's something I talk about a lot. I mean, golf, we call it what it is. It's an individual sport, and unless you're really, in a battle with someone down the stretch, you really can't do anything other than play your game, and sometimes, again, we talk about sample sizes. You can go quite a while without winning. I mean, think about Rory in the Masters, for example. He's one of the best players in the world forever. You know what I mean? He hasn't won this particular tournament. I mean, it's not because he chokes, not because of anything. It's just variance. I mean, it's just the way it is, So I think Fleetwood's very, very live. Koepka every year is the same. Koepka every year in these majors, now because it's the only time we see him, he projects like garbage, okay? And all the super sharp players never play him. Bobby always gets overweight, and he's always competing for the win somehow. I don't know how it happens, but that's the case. I'm probably going to end up not doing it, but that's something to keep it. He's going to be again 3% owned, as he always is. All right. The guy that's very intriguing to me, though, and someone brought him up in the earlier range, is Schauffele.
Yeah.
He's ideally, he would have another couple of preps. You know what I mean? Like coming off his injury and showed that he was really on the cusp of playing like his A+ game. Which, listen, everybody needs to play their A+ game to win this tournament. Okay, not because the Masters per se, it's because all the best players are playing in it. You know what I mean? And it's a tough course. So I don't know if he's ready to win. You know, but I do like it. Okay, so for me, my favorites really are going to be Fleetwood and Schauffele from this range. But I'm not going to lie, I like the whole range.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I'm going to be big on Xander as well. Kenny, where are you stand with the 9Ks?
Yeah, Xander, I think is, I mean, he's underpriced, and it's just, you know, it's, I think, a recency bias on his pricing. And it's good to see that he's not, you know, projected to be like extremely high owned because of it. So I really like him as well. I really do like Bryson this week. It's unfortunate that I agree with everything you're saying, Sheets. Like, you know, he's Mr. Popular now, and you know, all the normies are going to play him because they can play him, and yada yada yada. I think he has a real shot to win. So I'm not sure exactly how to handle that. I can't, you know, I don't know if I can be over the field. You know, probably just be how I structure my, you know, lineups in terms of single entries versus you know, multi-entry stuff or whatever. But then also, you know, I think I agree with what you're saying about Brooks as well. I'm going to have some exposure to him just because he is Mr. Major. I also think Neiman's interesting this week, and I think that he's kind of probably going to be a little sneaky. He's definitely not anywhere close to the most popular of the live guys, and you know, a couple of them are priced right around here. So I think he might be kind of an interesting play, and also just for the same reason, because of, you know, kind of the narrative and his recent form and stuff like that. I think Hovland also will be someone who I'll be over the field on, which will be easy to do just because he is projected lowest in the range. But you know, I watched his press interview yesterday, and he seemed like he was doing really good, and you know, seemed pretty confident and stuff like that. I know his concerns are always, you know, the around the green play, which is huge here. But
Quoted 8 Mile.
Yeah, he did. So I kind of like Hovland as kind of my, you know, in bigger GPPs, my hedge play. So
yeah, I'm on the same page as both you guys in being, you know, overweight the Hovland. Actually, Hovland, Neiman, and Xander are probably the ones I'm most overweight. Oh no, and Tommy, most overweight the field. I like this range a lot, which again is why I probably end up lower on Brooks. The guy who I still can't decide, because people like, I remember this happened when Hideki won it. Everybody was talking about how his recent form was terrible. He ended up like the lowest reasonably priced player, or anybody over 8K or whatever of anybody that week. I don't know why we can't play Hideki at what I think is going to be lower ownership than even the projections have. I just don't think people want to play him. I think he might end up being the lowest owned player in this range. So those are my favorites, the ones you mentioned, along with, and I'm throwing Hideki in there. I will be underweight Bryson. I will be underweight. I don't know where I end up with JT, actually. I might be near the field on him. Brooks, I'll probably be just a little overweight. Neiman, I'll be overweight, obviously. It feels weird, but I feel like right now I'm looking at my ownership, and I'm overweight most of this range, even Spieth. Well, I'm basically with the field on Spieth, I guess. So I guess I am going to be lower on Scotty and Rory, which makes me a little bit nervous, but doesn't mean I'll have none of them. All right, down to the 8Ks. Kenny, you want to start this one off, and we'll go to Sheets after?
Sure. So the 8K range, you know, seems pretty simple to me. You know, I like Lowry. He's been in great form, has good history here, has, you know, had, you know, long and good history here. Obviously he's going to be a little bit more popular, but that's okay. I'm going to still try to be overweight on him. I also like Tyrrell Hatton. I think he's another one of the live guys that's actually a really great play, that has great history here as well, that probably won't be as popular. It looks like he's, you know, projected to be pretty low owned relatively. And you know, I think that he's going to have a great great showing as well. Other than that, initially, like on Monday, I was kind of really into Russell Henley, but he looks like he's just going to be super popular, and I think I'm going to have to get away from that. And maybe, a little bit with the same with Cam Smith, who I think is going to get a little bit more ownership just because of his popularity and stuff on Live. But really, I think the interesting plays here are Akshay and Bobby Mack. We know this course, has tended to do well for, lefties have done well on it historically. Both of these guys are lefties. I know, Bobby Mack's projected to be pretty highly owned for, what we typically see. But, I like both of these guys, especially Bobby Mack, because he's got the distance and he's got the lefty thing, and he's, kind of all around a great player, minus his putting. But, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Sheets, thoughts on the 8Ks?
Yeah. So after you got your computer crashed last night, we were talking a little bit more, and Kevin and I were talking through some of these guys, and he told me something that I actually really couldn't believe. So we were talking about Russell Henley, and I was saying that he's like a model darling, everybody loves him, but he really doesn't fit too well in this course, and he really doesn't have the distance. And Kevin pointed out, dude, Russell Henley is like top 20 in driving distance on the tour. I had no idea. It's something I wouldn't even imagine.
I don't think that's true.
What's that?
I don't think that's true.
Oh, I don't know. That's what Kevin told me.
It's possible it could be a recent one from this year specifically.
But if that's the case, it'd be very surprising to me. But it would also
his average is 285.
I don't know. In any case, so he's going to be popular. He's going to be popular. I don't know how popular he's going to be in the big contest, but yeah, he's gonna look pretty good. I wonder what people are going to do with Minwoo Lee coming off of the win. I don't usually like to do that to play guys coming off the win, because people might be biased towards that. But I don't think that people are going to play him in this one. And he's interesting to me. I think Hatton, again, he's some guy who always people play a little bit. He always kind of contends. Then he gets mad, and then he just ends up going on tilt. You know what I mean? I don't know. I guess it's fine. I played plenty of Tyrrell Hatton, and every time I do it, he's looking for a ball and yelling at his caddy and getting all mad and stuff like that. And I don't know. The guy that you mentioned already is a guy I'm really interested in is Boccia, and he's like a guy that people again that don't play PGA too often, we don't realize how good this dude is, and the lefty thing, maybe it's overstated a little bit, but nonetheless, it's just a type of name that you're just not gonna. It's just not going to get jammed. It just isn't.
Yeah.
So I actually like Boccia is probably if I had to pick, again, I'm trying to get one, right? My favorite of this range, I would say it's between Henley and Boccia. I mean, because Henley is such a good play, but he's going to be kind of popular. Maybe Kevin was on the right idea that maybe we should just bet Henley to win. Maybe.
So just following up, Henley is 173rd in driving distance on tour. So
Yeah, but
not in the top 20.
We keep talking about this being a big. I don't find this to be a particularly. It hasn't necessarily been that way. I mean, Henley finished 4th last year. It wasn't like it affected him before. But I'm not grading this out as being this incredibly you have to be insanely long on it. I mean, all these guys are hitting it.
No, but there is a huge advantage when you're long off the tee and have shorter irons in. Also, when you're a longer hitter, typically, you're hitting higher lofted clubs from mid to longer ranges. So, if you're hitting, a 5 or a 6 iron in on a 220-yard shot as opposed to a 3 or a 4, that's a big advantage, especially for these greens, because they're so undulated and difficult. You know what I mean? And
I'll
that's
tell you something interesting. I mean, you have these guys in the 8Ks, and we have to talk about. And we're going to go to the 7s in a minute. But are these guys really better than the guys?
This is my thinking. What I was going to say. Give me the bottom of this range. I like the Akshay idea. I really like Bobby Mack, and I think that he's going to be higher owned than he's being projected, because I think everybody likes him. And I like Cam Smith. I don't care about everything else. I know. And by the way, if you, whatever course fit or whatever, if no one's playing it, it doesn't really matter. Cam Smith is going to be super low owned at a place that literally he, creativity and all these weird things that he's really good at. And he's played well here before, obviously. I think all three of the bottom of this range are my three favorites. Cam Smith.
Cam Smith's also one of the best around the green players on the planet.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think all three of those guys are super interesting. I get the Henley thing early in the week. The projections had him like super low owned. Now they've all updated, and he's not going to be. I do think Hatton at low ownership would be the other one I would consider, and Lowry I'll probably end up near the field just because I think that he's always solid. And I think it makes sense here, but I'm not as enthralled with this range, and sort of like she said, that's why I'm finding myself leaning more. And maybe it's because I like the 9K and the 10K plus range so much, but I'm leaning myself mostly on the bottom of the range, the McIntyre, Bhatia, and Cam Smith. So with that said, Sheets, why don't you start us off with and look, it's a very small range, 75 to 7,900, but I think the guys deserve at least some thought here. And then we get down, we'll get down to this, to the 7 to 7,400 after.
These guys are really good golfers that are 7,500 to 7,900, you're going to get, as I mentioned, Sepp Straka is probably going to get some love. He always does, but all Connors, I imagine, is going to get played also. They always play him. They play him at 10K. They play him 7,900. Finau, Wyndham Clark's playing better. Theegala, I don't think I'm going to play Jason Day here, but you get Dustin Johnson at 7,500. That would be pretty badass if he put up a performance. He's another one that doesn't give an F. You know what I mean? You don't know what's going on in his brain. It's just exactly the guy I want. You know what I mean? Like just him and Theegala. Like the two of these guys, they don't care. So I like. So I'm going to say my favorite from this range, given owners, given everything else. Let's pick two. I'm going to pick Wyndham Clark and Sahith Theegala.
Wyndham Clark and Sahith Theegala. The not so great form Sahith Theegala, but I don't mind it at all. All right, Kenny, how about you? 75 to 79.
So I also like Wyndham Clark.
Wow.
He's just a great. He's a great golfer. He had top 5 last week, right? So. And he's got that major mentality. We know he can, do well under pressure. I actually do like Jason Day this week. A guy who also has a long and good history here, who also is in really good form and, seems to be putting up, all of the things he needs to do. And I think he's going to be pretty low owned. So I actually am going to be if I pick 2 out of this range, Jason Day would be one of them. And then the other one would probably be actually just for ownership and same kind of, history and solid kind of numbers guy is Tony Finau, actually, who sounds a little scary to say, but I think that he, has a huge upside, especially at this price. And I think that he's going to kind of go unnoticed. And, if he pops up on the leaderboard over the weekend, people are going to be like, "Oh, what? We forgot about him." So, I think Finau and Jason Day are my favorites in this range for that explicit kind of sneaky reason.
Yeah, my favorite in this range is a no-brainer, but unfortunately he's going to be popular, and that's Corey Connors. I'm not going to make a stand to get out of the way of it. It's hurt me too many times in the past, and I just think it's too likely that he ends up in the top 15 of this tournament or somewhere in that range. I like Sepp Straka, but I don't like the ownership, so I'm going to be trying to not get as much of the field as that. I kind of like your guys' idea a little bit about the Wyndham thing. If my version of the Wyndham will probably be something like a Tom Kim, not in good form right now, although Wyndham's played a little bit better lately than Tom Kim has, but I really feel like I think his mind's been set on this for a long time. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But I think I might be a little bit under this range in general, even though I still agree with what she'd said that the range just above this, I don't think we're talking about a huge gap in golfers. And would it be the most shocking thing in the world, as Sheets mentioned, if Dustin Johnson You know, like
Yeah, probably.
when did he win it? 4 years ago?
I don't
5
know.
years
In
ago?
2020.
Yeah. So okay, I mean, it's not that long ago.
Right.
I don't know. I'm a little bit intrigued, but I think overall my range is a little bit underweight on that particular
You know,
range.
maybe that's the take as far as like the live stuff goes. Is that the guys that are, the people are playing well right now are going to be kind of overowned or whatever. But the guys that are like been around that are good players that just we haven't like paid attention to, like him and like Dustin Johnson and Patrick Reed and like those other guys, whatever, might. But then again, people are going to play Sergio Garcia. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, let's get down to this range. All right, Kenny, start us off. 7K to 7,400.
Yeah, so for me, it starts with Patrick Reed specifically for that exact reason that she's just mentioned. Also, he's been playing a lot of golf, both on Live and the European Tour internationally, and he's been putting up, great results. And he's a guy that people love to hate, and I like that. You know what I mean? So even though he's projected, a little higher than some of the other guys, right around him that I think might make a little bit more natural sense for a lot of reasons. I think I'm going to still be overweight on him. Also, Justin Rose for the same reason. Great history here. Been playing well. I know he just came off of a couple of missed cuts in the past, 5, but he also came off a couple of past top tens in the past 5. So, I think that he is a guy. He's I've been watching a lot of the kind of replay stuff over the past couple of weeks. Masters YouTube channel has put up a bunch of stuff this year, which is really cool. And seems like every time I'm watching any old tournament, Justin Rose is always somewhere in, the first or second page of the leaderboard on the, little scroll on the screen. So I like him as well. And then my other star play in this range is going to be Mav McNeely. Another guy who I've been on. I've been on him all season. I know he's been playing great.
Every time you bring up
and
anything,
he tied for third last week, and I called him last week. He was $9,800. You know what I mean? So, I'm going to be back on him at 7,100, no problem, especially at low ownership. And I don't care that it's his first time here. Sometimes these guys do great on their first time. Like you look at Oberg last year, got second, could easily get a second out of Mav. So those are going to be my focus.
Ooh, a second out of Mav. Now you had me until that.
Okay. Tied for fourth.
Tied for fourth. Okay. That backdoor sneak in. Maybe something happens where play for some out of the blue. There's wind on the afternoon and he's playing in the morning on Sunday. And that I can see. All right. Cheat 7K to 7,400.
Yeah. I got bad news for you.
What's that?
I like Maverick McNeely.
Oh my God.
I think he's a great low-owned play. Maybe I'm a little biased because he was responsible for me. I got like 10th in like in the lottery last week or something like that. From McNeely was the only guy who was like under par like the whole day of like the whole day, of everybody pretty much.
Basically for the whole game, it felt like I don't think
he's also a guy. He doesn't give it. He doesn't need the money. His family like owns Sun Microsystems. I mean, he's going to be like he's inheriting billions, like whatever. So he
know that.
Oh yeah, Scott.
Jessica Pagula thing.
Yeah. So Maverick McNeely, I like quite a bit. These other like the Justin Roses and the Adam Scotts and all. You know what? Somebody else can play these guys. And Sergio Garcia, these old name value guys from the 80s. You know what I mean? I'm not particularly
from the 80s.
The other two guys I'm interested in are Matt Fitzpatrick at 7,400. There could have been a day where he could have been 9K in this field. It just hasn't been around, and whatever. And then listen, you want to play guys off 3 missed cuts. Sam Burns, he's another guy who in another world could be 9K in this field, but he's not because his recent form stinks. But so those two guys, McNeely, I'll throw one other in. I mentioned this before last week. Like, wouldn't this be like another complete ultimate troll if like Cameron Young like would just completely just like exploded for no reason at 7K? He certainly has the length, and listen, he's about to give up golf, I guess. So you may as well win the Masters. Wouldn't that be perfect? So again, but the thing is about a guy like this, if you play guys in the 7,300 range, you don't really need guys that have that big ceiling to win. Like, you really want to play guys that are top 20 guys or top 25 guys. So maybe Cameron Young is not the right idea. I'm not ready to play Daniel Berger yet. He's obviously flashing signs, but not quite yet. So for me, my top guys, Matt Fitzpatrick, Sam Burns, Maverick McNeely, and I guess some Cameron.
I have to do some of the Fitzpatrick thing because you said it, and it's just like been my, okay, when is he going to be back? I keep doing this and beating my head against the wall with it. I am going to take the, by the way, Justin Rose was born and he's like 6 months older than I am.
I wouldn't play you in this tournament.
I wouldn't play me either. You said from the 80s. I didn't realize you meant with guys who were born in the 80s. But Justin Rose is my number one with the bullet from this range. I do like him. He is not getting the ownership. I really think he plays well. I think he takes these majors extremely seriously. And I think he's actually going, I mean, he probably should have won this tournament before. And I am very high on the Justin Rose at low ownership. And in terms of the guys who are chalky, the Sergio and Patrick Reed, I'll have ownership of them. I'm not sure it will equal the field, but I you know, separately from everything else, I expect them to have decent tournaments. And my not get weird, but let's play at low ownership guy is Sung Jae. And I think Sung Jae has, you know, I don't really care about his form that much because he kind of, you know, he used to be pretty consistent. It's kind of come and gone for a little while now. But I do think he knows this course well. I don't think that, like Sheet says, that some people don't give an F for one reason or another. He's just out there loving golf and loving the environment and everything. I think he's going to have a decent tournament. So I'll say Sung Jae and Adam Scott as my other get low ownership. So Rose, Scott, and Sung Jae are the ones I'm actually taking some sort of a stand on. But now I'm going to have to get to some Mav McNeely because you guys talked me into it. Can I ask, look, we got to just mention something because Keegan Bradley is the highest owned player, maybe in the 7K range overall, not just this range. None of us mentioned him. I'm not especially like excited to go, you know, launch him like crazy, but I think I might have some exposure. Any thoughts on Keegan or why he's so popular and why we're maybe a little bit off of it?
Oh, I love him this week. I mean, it's just a bummer that he's projected to be as highly owned as he is. You know, I think you're probably going to be remiss if you don't have some exposure to him. So I'll probably put him in a couple of single entries and just call it good. But you know, I definitely like him this week. He's got great form coming in. You know, he's got played here a little bit. You know, doesn't have like a ton of past couple of years, and then he hadn't played since 2019 or whatever. And he played, you know, but yeah, I think he's probably going to be, you know, have a really good showing this week. It just really comes down to the putting for him, which I watched last week, and he missed so many like under 10-foot putts, like probably 8 or 9, you know, over the course of Friday and Saturday, and then didn't do any better on Sunday. And it was just like really hard to watch because he was hitting darts. I mean, he was throwing darts onto the green and then just missing every putt. And you know, as we know, putting is crucial here. So that's a little bit scary for me. But other than that, I think, you know, everything looks great.
Okay. All right, under 7Ks. I'll start with you, Sheets, because you tend to have the fewest of them. I am not as interested in the 7K range this week, so I am going to have more of them than I normally do. So, Sheets, why don't we start off?
All these guys can do something. You know what I mean? Like all these guys are good golfers, and well, not. I mean, when you get down to the bottom, like the guys I put in my lineup here, like Freddie Couples and Alethabo and Cabrera and Bernard Lang. I'm not talking about these guys, but like these guys can play. You know what I mean? Aaron Rye at 6,800 can play. You know, this guy Michael Kim, who's threatening to be everybody's model darling for like quite a while here. You know what I mean? Like he can play. Like guys can play. I just will say this couple of things, and I'll get to something else. Is that I ran a build yesterday, and out of nowhere, I was getting 43% Taylor Pendrith. Like, for example,
yeah, it loves Taylor. Saberson loves Taylor Pendrith this week.
Do. I mean, they have some kind of licensing deal with with Taylor Pendrith or something that they have to play him. But I'll probably end up getting some of them. But I just want to let you guys know. I bet $180 on Max Homa to win the Masters for 36,000. Okay. So I just figured I would let you guys know that. I bet it last week, right after we got off of this. It's total vibes, okay? And I was talking about Cam Young and Max Homa in the same breath. Like the guys, both of them lost their minds, like in different ways. But like Homa again, I just feel as though he could get into that freaking matrix zone where he has no idea where he is. And next thing you know, he's in contention. And I'm just gonna want it at 200 to 1. So that's my one outright bet of the tournament is exactly 180 to win 36,000 and change on Max Homa. So I'll be damned if I don't have some of them in DFS as well. Other guys I'll just throw in there. I mean, listen, Cam Davis, all these guys that we played before. You know, Lucas Glover, Chris Kirk. There's Homa there. You mentioned putting's important. Denny McCarthy can putt a little bit, right? He's 6,500. The thing that we should probably mention is that it's easier to make the cut in this tournament, right? It's not a full 100.
Top 50 and anyone within 10 of the leader.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
So what is that going to project? Like 2/3 of the field, probably?
Yeah, maybe a little more depending on how where the cut is.
Yeah. Which lends itself to more stars and scrubs in general. Like the more people that are going to make the cut, the better you are playing stars and scrubs. So maybe you'll get to more six. Look at these guys. Tom Hoagie can play, so I don't know. I'm not going to X anybody out, and whoever I get to, I just get to. But I guess my favorite, you know what? I will say that my favorites are Aaron Rye and Michael Kim, I guess.
Aaron Rye, Michael Kim. Okay.
I guess.
Kenny, how about you?
So this is just all under 7K?
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, I don't have a ton. I do have a handful. Firstly, I like the two lefties that make the list in order, Brian Harmon and Phil. Obviously we know Brian just won last week. It was actually interesting. He had an interview and was talking about, and I don't think anyone knew this, but he had a bunch of like really serious family issues and stuff that were like really distracting to him. So I didn't know that because I was on Brian Harmon when he won the Open 2 years ago and stuff like that, and I've generally liked him off and on throughout the years. So it's great to see him in good form again. Also, a guy that has experience, at least knows the course, even though he has a pretty bad history here, except for one T12 in 2021. But so anyway, Brian, also Phil, just because Phil is Phil. And it actually looks like he's been playing pretty well also lately, which I think should be scary for anyone who's trying to not play him. And then for me, it's going to be a little bit of Lucas Glover, who's been playing well. Also has some a little bit of experience here, knows the course a little bit. And then Laurie Cantor, who I think is going to be pretty low owned, and I think might be a good low ownership play in GPPs and stuff like that. Who's been playing really well on the European tour. So those are going to be probably my main focus. After that, I like a little bit of Harris English, just because he's always been a solid golfer. Also, had a win earlier this year, so he's been playing pretty well. And then jumping all the way down to 6,200, Charles Schwartzel, who's another live guy who almost won last week, but also has just been, he's been playing on the live tour, but he's been playing well on the live tour. And for 6,200, and he's got, he's a good putter. He's got good around the green game. He's not super long off the tee, but there's other ways to get it done. So he'll be another one of my little sneaky low on plays.
Couple of things to clear up. It is just 50 and ties. In 2021, they got rid of the 10-shot rule, so it's top 50, top 50 and ties. So I think though that if you include ties, I guess that's maybe 60 out of 100 probably makes sense. I mean, what do we have, 96 runners, something like that?
95.
95, and considering that like 5 of them are like like totally dead money. You know what I mean? So I imagine that about 2/3 will make the cut. Yeah. Who do you like, Bobby?
Yeah.
Oh, I do want to mention two other guys real quick. Two amateurs that I think might be interesting to throw into some GPPs. Justin Hastings, who just won the U.S. Pro-Am, and then Jose Luis Ballester, who actually wasn't really on my radar much until I watched Rahm's press interview yesterday, and he went on and on about how good this kid was for like 3 minutes. So that gave me a little bit of interest in him as well. Anyway.
Okay.
You know what? Hey, go through your 6K stuff, because there's stuff I want to research here to go for it.
Okay, so give me the Canadians, Pendrith, and I like Chris Kirk. Played here before, has had some up and down rounds. I think he can do well enough. The guys who are going to be and Pendrith, I think is going to have some ownership. Michael Kim, I like that idea. I'm also with Kenny, and look, I'm not going to have a ton of nickel. I probably even don't add to the field, but that's, if I have 6 or 7% of anybody under 7K, that's still a reasonably high percentage. I will have some Hogard, Nikolai more than Rasmus. Aaron Rye, first time playing here. I think he'll be okay. I'm sure he'll be ready. Other ones that are showing up for me a little bit, Harris English, who I think is talk about guys who don't care. He's just going to be walking, chewing his gum. Denny McCarthy, JT Poston, Nick Taylor. These are the ones who I'm coming up with the most right now. One who I kind of like, who I'm not getting like crazy carried away with it, but I kind of like Eckroat. Again, just get low ownership. Agree with Kenny about Charles Schwartzel, and don't mind, like, I'm not going to cross out any of the other ones. One thing I did want to ask about this Angel Cabrera thing, about after winning a tournament that Kenny posted last week after leaving prison. Why is it that most sites don't even have a projection for him? Is he actually going to play?
Yeah, he's playing.
Are you sure that they didn't ban him or something? Because
no, he's playing. And actually, I watched the interview with the commissioner of Augusta, or of Augusta National today, and he was asked about that, and he said, well, he was judged by the law in Latin America, and he served his sentence, and he's a former winner, so he was invited, and he's playing. I don't know what to tell you. That's just massive.
For some reason, SaberSim, amongst a number of other sites, do not have a projection for him.
Maybe there's an issue with the government that we're not allowed to put projections up until he's officially cleared of his crimes by an international board or something like that.
Yeah, right.
You have to see.
But yeah, he is playing, he did just win on the Champions Tour last week. I
have a question. Do we have is there any noticeable tee time bias?
If you're going to speculate on it, you'd think it would be afternoon then morning, because the wind may pick up, but it's not that much. Like, the wind
might pick up Friday afternoon
a little bit. But there also could be potential rain in there, which could delay it. So we don't really know what the answer is to that question, unfortunately.
Okay. I mean, it's more for Showdown, but it may as well, whatever. So so we're going to go through, our tiers in a minute, but I want to take a look at some of these bets. So this is one thing that I won last year. So we're going to try this again. This nationality prop. So like last year I was able to get, this isn't going to work. So last year I was able to get Rahm at like -150. There was a couple of other guys that I had never heard of, and he beat everybody. Now it's just basically like a head-to-head against Sergio Garcia. So that's not particularly interesting. So the Korean one, it's just a 1 versus 1 really. See, Canadian. So they threw the Mike Weir into the mix. By the way, of all those guys that have no chance to win, that I think have a chance to make the cut, I think Mike Weir is the one that could maybe make the cut.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think that was
English guys. Yeah, nothing really. I mean, listen, I'll tell you right now, all of these that I'm throwing here, they're all bad bets, I promise you. If DraftKings is offering all this stuff, I promise you this is all atrocious. Who else? I mean, all these are really, really bad. But so the only thing I have as far as in the betting markets is Homa to win. I don't know who else I would honestly recommend. Do we like no general at 200 to 1? He's not winning.
He's not winning it.
He's not. Winning.
I'll throw him in a lineup just for sentimental value.
Right.
But that's pretty much it.
All right, so let's do the tier. So this is what we're going to do. I've been pretty good today. I've been try your best to like limit, because otherwise, again, I hate being those people that recommend 90 golfers.
The problem is I'm going to legitimately be playing 90 golfers this week.
Yeah, I know, but I definitely want to.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, so let me pull this up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go for each range. So the first, we're going to ask each other who's going to win the tournament. And then we're going to say who's the best under 10K to make top 5, then the best under 9K to make top 10, then the best under 9K to make under 8K to make top 20, then under 7K to make the cut, and then what?
No, we have under 9K to top 5, under 10K to top 5, under
9K top 10.
Yeah.
Under
then 8K to top 20.
8K top 20, under 7K to make the cut. Then top guy over 9K to miss the cut, and we're as they say with Mortimer and whatever, we're going to bet the usual amounts. Me, Bobby, and Kenny. And one day we're going to pay up. I think I'm down 50 cents over the years in these props.
I'm coming off a win and a fifth, by the way, with my winners so far.
That's
so
true.
Maybe I'm getting hot. Who knows? I had the
right, so we'll do a snake draft. So we'll start with you, Bobby. Who's winning?
I think we should start with Kenny, since he's the guest here, and I'm hoping he says the name so I don't have to say it.
All right. So who's winning?
Or hopefully you say the name, Sheets, actually.
John Rahm.
Okay, that was one of the ones that I was hoping Kenny would say.
And I am going to say Ober.
That's who I was hoping would happen, because that's what I was going to say. I am going to be that idiot who says I would have taken both of those names, but I don't want to take the same one. I'm going to say that it will be Rory.
Okay. So you could start off again with under 10K to make top 5.
Oh yeah, Kenny, go ahead.
No, you just went.
Okay, we're going around. Yeah, snake. Okay, so under 10K to top 5. I'm gonna say Fleetwood, but the guy who I almost picked to win was in this range, and it wasn't Fleetwood. So I am saying Fleetwood.
So wait, so you go. Where do I go? I'm second all the time.
I think
you
Kenny,
go. Yeah.
Yes, I'm always second. Okay, so I'm gonna go with Shuffle.
That's who. Okay, perfect.
All right. Well, then I'll just go with Bryson.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you think? So Kenny, top guy under 8K to make top. What did we say? Top 10?
Top.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll say Shane Lowry.
Kenny says Lowry.
I will go. Now again, we're not necessarily going low owned or anything. We're just trying to do whatever. So I am going to go. Boy, I should flip a coin between these two guys. I honestly think that the guy I'm going to say is better than the guy I was going to say. So I am going to go with Boccia, actually.
Okay. I actually think it's a pretty bold one. I am going to go with McIntyre.
Okay. Okay. Under, you can keep going. Under 8K to go top 20.
All right, I'm picking first every time here. Okay, let's see. Everything's leading me towards my chalky ones, which I guess I just am going to do, because that's what it is.
Just one. I just want one.
Okay, I know. I'm just giving you one, but I'm just trying to decide who I want that one to be. All right, I'm gonna go with it, even though I may not end up with the field on this guy. I'm gonna say Sepp Straka. Pretty.
All right. I am gonna go vibing here again with Matt Fitzpatrick.
You are just. I'm loving this Sheets builds this week.
Yeah.
Nobody, the team, nobody. Usually, you go a little chalkier with these Sheets. Nobody's playing these guys.
Yeah.
All right, Kenny, who you got?
I'll go with Mav McNeely.
Nice.
Of course.
So you could go next with the
Okay, under 7K to make the cut.
To make the cut, and it's easier to make the cut, but we'll compete this way.
Best to make
best 7K. You know what I mean? Like,
Under
who
seven.
does the best of the 7K, sub 7K?
Okay. I'm gonna take Phil.
Okay, Kenny takes Phil. Sheets, who you got?
I'm gonna double down on this model guy. I'll say Michael Kim.
All right. Oh wait. Wait. Kim. Sorry, I'm already in the wrong places.
What is that noise, by the way?
Sorry, that's my phone going
Alarm.
on.
It is your phone.
This time it was my phone. Yesterday afternoon it wasn't my phone.
So
Is that what you?
yeah, you
It's
sure?
only one alarm I set for this morning.
Okay.
I didn't have one.
No, because I lost my freaking AirPods the other day.
Oh.
I was trying to find them, and I thought that was a beep, like where I could find them. I guess.
Wait, Kenny, who did you say again for this range?
Phil.
Phil. Okay. I'm gonna say Taylor Pendrith.
I like it. So who do you? Okay, so I'll go first since I've never gone first yet. With
the
what over 9K guy
in the world.
What?
Who misses the cut? She loves who misses the cut.
I love this. Okay, over 10K.
Over 9K.
Over 9K to miss the cut. Just by
it's gonna be tough.
By force of elimination, the other guy we haven't even really talked about. I'll say Justin Thomas.
Okay, Kenny.
I'll say it's a hard one. You're not gonna like this at all.
It is what it is. I mean, it's
I'm
just
gonna say Fleetwood.
Fleetwood. Okay.
Oh my God, there's no way that's happening. I thought you were going to say the guy. I thought the obvious one was Spieth if you're going to take a shot on somebody, but I'm actually going to say Bryson since you just took my Fleetwood.
That's pretty good.
I could see Bryson just making like an 11 on some hole or something like that. Cocky bastard. All right, guys. Well, it should be a fun tournament for all the subs. I will post my exact exposures later for whatever that's worth. Pretty pumped about this week. Sheets, Kenny, anything else before we get out of here, guys?
Yeah, so a couple of things. So Bobby's been better than I have about doing showdown stuff. So I am going to be able to post showdown projections at least probably for all the days actually. So I'll be able to do that. And I'm sure that the showdown slates are going to be freaking billions also. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure there can be big showdown slates as well. I did not run my FanDuel stuff yet, but I'm certainly playing over there. So I didn't notice any real difference. I really haven't looked yet. Typically, FanDuel is just more conducive to stars and scrubs anyway.
Yep.
So I imagine that, you know,
you're going to get a lot of Rory and Scotty lineups in there, basically.
Yeah, I think you could probably do it. I guess
pretty easily. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I really haven't looked yet, and that's something I wouldn't fit. You know what I mean? I probably want one of those guys in FanDuel lineups, just because you can get them too easily. And they project to, you know,
but they will be like they're going to literally be like 70-75% on that happens. That's what keeps happening.
So maybe we'll just X them all out then. Whatever.
Yeah, I actually was considering that for a FanDuel build because I'm not playing as much over there. Kenny, anything else?
No, it's hope for a good week. I'm going to be moving over the weekend, so my viewing will hopefully be not too sparse. But yeah, excited for the week.
I have Passover both Friday and Saturday, but we'll make it work.
Yeah, so everybody's got things. I've got things too. But Kenny, hopefully we can watch Sunday and have a sweat together. Guys, I do want to remind everybody, use the code Masters TDFS for 33% off your first month. We've got some awesome packages, as I've mentioned before, and I would love for you guys to check them out. We also have some trials that range differently for depending on the package. But good luck to everybody this week. Have a great Masters. I will do my best to get up any showdown stuff, and I will post all of my my exact exposures in the Discord channel as I figure them out.